Welcome to Bill's Wargame World, and today we have a special treat. Goober, the traveling bear, has been invited to Ron Prillaman's house. Did I pronounce that right, Ron?
Prillaman, yes, that's good enough.
And Ron, of course, many wargamers will know him for being famous in many wargaming hobbies throughout the area at many conventions, including his Alamo game. So I'm going to get, we're going to go over what, bolt action today, Ron?
Yes, we'll go over some uniqueness that I have in my horse and musket rules that until I got interrupted with a very demanding career job around the year 2000, we're catching on very well. Then I'll go on a few aspects of that. Then we'll go into my modifications that our Woodbridge Wargame group uses for boat action. We prefer to play boat action in 54 millimeter because it's just prettier, and we're older. We can still paint the figures, and of course, plastic figures now are much better than they used to. They will hold paint with the new mixtures and the new elements and things that they put in the new paints, and we'll go over those modifications, and it'll be a short history of wargaming. I'm originally from Southwest Virginia, so far back in the boondocks that any direction you went, you were on the way out. So, and back in there, I still was able as a kid to get a Fort Apache. They probably had to haul it in on a mule train, but as a Fort Apache and one Mark's Army set, and like everyone else, it went into storage, but luckily it was still there when I got into wargaming much later in life. After my regular Army time in 1974, I was on lunch break at a National Guard meeting. I went home to have lunch with a guy, and he was painting minifig Napoleonics in his kitchen, and of course he fainted when I realized that this motorcycle riding hellion knew what that it was French infantry, and soon after I got connected with people that actually played games with 25 millimeter figures, went to my first convention, and been very enthusiastic wargamer ever since. And of course, like everyone else, there are years that wargamed a lot and years did not wargame so much. In 1984-85, moved to the Washington, D.C. area from the Harrisonburg, Virginia, Shenandoah Valley area, and got at a convention at the Ramada Inn. Rich Hausner drew a picture of the real Alamo when he found out that my favorite movie was the Alamo. Rich knew every aspect of the real Alamo, and we went to work right away on why don't we do an Alamo, and it became in a few months, after an unbelievable amount of play testing, we had a game that was the big hit of the conventions for a few years, and we used to run it from when the conventions opened to when it closes. We probably were a little younger then and a little more in shape, but and then we ran that game. I still ran it even after Rich and Mike Pierce got a little tired of it after 6 years or so of running it so often. I still ran it some by myself or with the help of Greg Lau, and have been wargaming other aspects ever since. As I said, I've been in and out of the wargame world.
Now, I want to ask, on the Alamo, that's the one where you guys did the rules and Little Wars TV helped out with a video, correct?
This was 1985. That was much before any of those ever happened. although a little worse TV, what they did a show on 15 Miller Alamo by David Good, and his rules were much like ours, even a slight improvement. Our rules, what was unique about them is they were on an 18-inch wide ruler. All the rules were there. Simplified, of course, for most war game rules, but they worked for the Alamo since it was a straight-up assault. And we called it a ruser. David Good still put his rules on a ruser because the longest distance anybody could move was 18 inches. It was based on a Mexican move 3d6. So, and the ruser concept is one that's kind of unique, and only I've not seen that before because it's hard to put all the rules on a 4-inch wide, 18-inch long ruler. But it worked, and that was the big hit there. The big thing was the Alamo was a super good time. And one thing odd about the Alamo games was the Texans were extremely more powerful, but it couldn't get into the Texans' heads how much more powerful they were. Seeing all the Mexicans coming at them shook them up and affected their decision making quite a bit. It was almost funny that usually have 5 Texan players, and many times, unless the people really knew each other well, they refused to help each other out. The people on the south wall would not help out the north wall. The north wall wouldn't help the south. The east and west walls wouldn't help a lot of times. The few times, and we kept records for the first 100, the 3 or 4 times that the Texans won was groups, a war game club, that they all knew each other and they would help out. They would detach people from the south wall to help out the north wall. They would turn a cannon around, the 18-pounder, when they had run off all the Mexicans on the south wall, to shoot toward the north wall if it was a breach, even if the danger of killing some of their own men. This it made it for a very, very fun game, and that's kind of my claim to fame with the war game thing. I pushed a couple set of rules for a little while until 1999, when I got a career job that was kind of over demanding, and I could be pulled away on weekends at the spur of the moment, which prevented me from committing to doing a big event at a convention.
All right. I'm going to pause us here, Ron.